Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, The Problem is Not the Question. It is, and I put ... Here's how this came about. I was watching some YouTube videos and I was noticing somebody who has a channel and who's interviewing people who talk about non-duality and all that stuff. I mean, great information that is being shared. But it was interesting because the one asking the questions was trying to figure it out, trying to understand. And he would try to ask questions from different angles to see if he could get an answer that could satisfy his yearning to have the experience where supposedly either non-duality points to, or whatever the case may be. But the problem is not the questions that the person is asking. The problem is the questioner. In other words, the one asking the questions. Every time you ask a question, you are reinforcing the belief in that you, which non-duality is pointing to the fact that there is no you. You see? And the challenge is that we try to grab this with the mind, with the conceptual mind, and the obviousness of this is overlooked. I don't like to talk in terms of non-duality or duality or whatever, because again, these are concepts, but let's point to what is without, we're not denying our experience, we're not suppressing. These videos are not about suppressing experience or denying experience or pretending that I am not here while I see myself recording videos, you know. What would be the point of me saying there's no world, I don't exist, this is an illusion, while I am telling you that this is an illusion? You know, if I'm watching a movie and I believe that the movie is real, I find myself arguing with the screen. But the moment I know that the movie is not real, does it make any sense for me to continue arguing with the screen? Same here. I mean, the fact is I am, yeah. You ask me, why am I doing this? Which is a question that I always suggest everyone to ask me, because it's a very valid question. And the answer is very simple. I don't know. This is what's happening. Why are you watching or listening to this information? It's what's happening. You see? Why was Mozart playing music? I don't know. That is what he was meant to do according to the script that he was supposed to play in this play we call our life. Okay? So we don't need to get caught into that, because that's another mind's argumentation that is going to lead nowhere. Let's go to the facts. And the fact is that you are. That is a fact. That is not a belief. You don't believe that you exist. You know that you exist. Existence. That is a fact. Well, we're pointing to that fact. Now, the problem is that that fact is overshadowed by thoughts. Right now, the fact is that you are. Right now you are being. You cannot not be. That is a fact. You cannot think about it. If I ask you, do you exist? Do you feel you're alive? You cannot go, wait a minute, let me think. Am I alive? Do I exist? No. That's just what it is. Even if it's an illusion or appears to be an illusion, but within this context, right now you cannot deny the fact that you exist. Right? Perfectly. Now, existence is what is. When there's a recognition that I am existence, then the thoughts don't have any power over existence. When I overlook the fact that I am existence and I'm identified with the thought, me, person, individual, then every single thought has something to attach to, and consequently I experience the consequence of that identification. Well, these videos are not a denial of your experience. And these videos are not trying to solve any problems. These videos are pointing to what has been overlooked the whole time. And you'll continue living your normal life. You'll continue doing whatever you've been doing, which you're going to do it anyway because you're not even the one choosing to do any of those things. Also, when the mind gets in the way, it says, yes, I do. I'm the one who chose to watch this video. I'm the one who's choosing. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just pointing to the fact that from the moment you wake up in the morning, you're not choosing to breathe, you're not choosing to have your heartbeat, you're not choosing to do anything. But when the thought comes up and says, I am going to do A, B, and C, the mind goes right behind it, which is another thought, and says, oh, I chose to do A, B, and C. And all of that is overlooking the fact that I am. That's why it is simple. It's very obvious. Right now, you are being. Right now, while you seem to be sitting on that chair thinking that you're that person, thinking that you're male or female, or what these thoughts may come up, the fact is that you are right now. End of story. Literally, end of story. Now, the question is, can you live with the end of story attitude? And this is where this becomes very difficult, because we think that we're this individual, and then all the conditioning comes up and says, I need to control my life. I need to know how things are going to work out. But in reality, there's no need to know any of this, because everything is working itself out anyway. And these videos are pointing to that fact, not so that you can believe me. Please don't do that. Don't believe me. Do your investigation. Look at where the words are pointing and do the investigation. Otherwise, you're taking my word as if I'm some kind of an authority. No, I'm telling you my experience. You see? Do you resonate with? Great. If you don't, fine too. This is just life unfolding. I have all the challenge that most people have. All of them. You know, maybe not the exact same challenge as some may be having, but to a certain extent, we all have the same challenge, which is the belief we're a separate entity, and then that challenge or that experience may unfold in different ways. To some people is health issues, to some people is financial issues, to some people is relationship issues, to some people is identity issues, or a little bit of all of it. You see? But the question is, when the recognition that I am, all of these experiences are seen, are lived, but they're not judged. Consequently, they're not suffered. That's the difference. I've heard somebody once says that the difference between the disciple and a teacher, if you want to call that way, or a master, is not that the master no longer have toothaches. Oh, he does have toothaches. The difference is the disciple is bothered by the toothaches and the master is not. You see? So right now, when I invite you to put this to the test, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to do the investigation right now, right this moment. Okay? This is very simple. Right now, you are being, and you cannot say you're not being. It's impossible. You are being right now. Okay? Now, this is the question I'm going to ask, or this is the suggestion, the invitation. Okay? Right now, there are thoughts lingering, especially the thought that might be judging even this video. It doesn't matter, but there are thoughts coming up. That's fine. Let them be. Right now, you're being, aren't you? But you see, you think that I'm talking to you, the person. But again, let's step by step. That's fine. Right now, you're being. This is the present moment experience. This is all there is. You're being. Now, if you don't believe any thoughts that are right now lingering around, it doesn't matter what thoughts, you just don't believe them. Just see them as that, as clouds. Don't try to push them away. Don't try to suppress them, because then you still reinforcing the belief on a me that is trying to fight thoughts. No, we're not even going there right now, right this moment. Okay, if you don't identify with any thoughts, what remains? Don't answer the question, because if you do, you went back to the mind. I am pointing to the obvious. What remains is what is. Isn't it? Yeah, but I gotta do something tomorrow, because but what if this? But these are thoughts. You see, that's what I'm pointing to. This is, it's very elusive, but when you see the trick, when you see that, when a magician tells you the trick, tells you how it works, you no longer believe in the magician. Well, the magician is you, and the tricks are the thoughts. But if you don't believe any of them, what remains? The answer is you don't know. But the fact is that you are. You see? Just life. Just being. And that is not what remains. That is what have always been. You see? And now, when that is a priority, when that is seen through, yeah, life unfolds as it will, but then there's a recognition that if you're not the one engaging in life, if you're not the one making decisions, if you're not the one thinking the thoughts, you also have to realize that life is taking care of life. Life creates its own illusions, and life also dispels them. But you're not caught up in the illusion, you're simply watching it as a bystander. And even while you're being the bystander, notice how life unfolds. You still will be taking care of the kids, you still will be dealing with all the things that seem to be happening in your world of appearances, but it's more like watching the movie unfold, watching life living you, watching life moving you, rather than you thinking that you have anything to do with it. And that's how you experience the peace that surpasses all understanding, because you're resting in the beingness that you are. And these are the invitations of these videos. Once again, I am not talking about denying, I'm not talking about suppressing, I'm talking about just looking at the obvious. Which again is paradoxical, because you're not going to be choosing looking at the obvious. Looking at the obvious happens through you if it's supposed to happen. And at the same time I say, and somehow life, or whatever you want to call that which is projecting in this world of appearances the seeming encounter between a you and a me, and an information that seems to be shared, that may lead you to begin to recognize that if you don't believe the content of the mind, you can rest in the peace that surpasses all understanding. So don't argue with that. Just be grateful that at least this information is being shared for the benefit of the recognition of what I am. If you were not led to this information, you would be doing something else. But somehow you find yourself watching this video, I find myself making the video, so that's fine. Let's not go into why this is happening, how this is happening, or who. All we know is that I am. All I know is that I am. All you know is that you are. You see, this is all where this is pointing to. That's all. Nothing else. Life unfolds, but you are. Thoughts appear, but you are. Feelings and sensations appear, but you are. And you remain as you are, because you have always been. Like I said, this is not a discovery. This is not something you're going to find out. This is what has been always, that has been overlooked. You see? And that's why, again, the challenge or the problem was not the questions, it's the questioner. Because there's no answers to any questions. Because all questions stems from the belief I'm a separate entity that somehow asks a question to seeming another to hopefully receive an answer that I can understand, overlooking that I am always the that in which the questions seems to appear and disappear. That's why we point to silence. Silence is not the absence of noise. And it's not even the absence of questions arising. No. Even in the silence, you see how the question arises, but it can immediately be dismissed. Because you see through it. It's a question. Now, there's questions that will arise in what is, that are functional. How do I go to the supermarket? That's a valid question. If you're in uptown that you don't know where the supermarket is. You could say, but if you're one with everything, you can simply watch the intuition. Well, you know what? I've been in places where I needed something and I didn't know anybody who I can talk to, and I found myself walking and I run right into whatever I needed. That could happen. But we don't have to get into any of that. It's very simple. If I'm in a town and I see somebody walking, I can ask a question. If I don't ask a question, then it's because the question was not supposed to be asked. As simple as that. We don't have to make this complicated. Right now, all that there is what is. And that is undeniable. Well, these videos are pointing to that. That's what it says, you are that. I am that, you are that, all this is that, and that is all there is. Do you see? Right now, you are. This is it. This is all what this is pointing to. All questions, past, future, philosophical questions, or whatever, theoretical questions, I don't know. I don't know anything. Don't ask me any questions because I don't know. You can ask me how to make a video. Okay, well, I tell you how I do it. You can ask me how do I record music. Well, I can tell you how I do it. But when we go into questions about philosophy and about theology and theory and all this stuff, you know what? I don't have time for that. All I know is that this is all that there is. End of story. And well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can become evident.